Hello, Android users. This is Reverend Kyle, your Minister of Mobile Devices, and I am here with my Motorola Milestone XT720. I have had several requests for me to go over a installation guide for some of the newer ROMs that exist for this phone. So today I will be demonstrating for you how to install the Cyanogenmod 6.3 ROM onto this phone. Now, as it is right now, this phone is completely stock. I have taken this phone back to its stock build, and I will show you that here. This phone has the Cincinnati Bell SBF has been flashed to it, and as a matter of fact, at this point, this phone is not even rooted. So what we're going to do here is I am going to demonstrate for you how to root the phone. Then we're going to put the new Open Recovery onto it. And then from there, we're going to use Open Recovery to install the Cyanogenmod 6.3 build, along with the Google Apps and all of the stuff that is necessary. Now, if you do not have a Motorola Milestone XT720, then this video won't do you much good. If you do, and you are concerned that you don't have the Cincinnati Bell SBF stock ROM installed on this phone, you should be okay. I do know that there were several people who had other Milestone XT720 stock ROMs installed on their phone, and they were questioning whether this would work. You have two options. You can either stick with the current 2.1 ROM that is on your phone, or you can choose to flash the a different SBF onto your phone. Either way, it should work fine for you as long as it is a Motorola Milestone XT720. If you have a different model than the Motorola Milestone XT720, this may not work for you. I do know that there are some other flavors of this phone out there, Motorola with an OI at the end, or different models. I believe that there was an A853. I cannot say for sure whether this will work. That would be up to you to try it. So let's get started. First thing that we have to do is make sure that this phone has, and I guess I should have stayed in the settings, we do need to make sure that this phone has the USB debugging on, which I do have it on, and I have set my USB connection to be charge only, and this will allow the computer to recognize the phone. And so I'm going to go over to my computer now, and we're going to get started with this. I have a folder here on my desktop called Cyanogen 6.3, and this contains all of the files necessary for us to accomplish our flashing. In this folder, I have the GApps, the new Open Recovery, and the actual ROM itself. Along with it, I also have the old Dexter's 1.3 file, which I have unzipped. Now, the reason I have this is because I'm going to use the root folder in here to execute the super one-click so I can root my phone. This seems to be the easiest method for me to have all of the files I need to get this accomplished. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And this will open up the super one-click, and I do have my Milestone XT720 plugged in and in USB mode, or rather in USB debugging mode, and I will root for it. And now the device is rooted. Excellent. Okay, so I can close this. And the next thing I need to do is I need to copy over some files to the phone. So I will change the phone back over to memory card access so I can copy the files over. So I've just changed the USB connection on my phone, and now I have USB. Debugging is still on, that's not a problem, but now I have SD card access. So in here, I need to put some files. So what I'm going to do here, and this is the easiest way that I have seen to do this, is I have taken this right here, the Open Recovery file, and I just put it right into the root of the SD card on the phone. So now what I need to do is switch back over to the phone, and we will run this APK file. We're back to the phone here. I did take the liberty of rebooting the phone after doing the root access, and I also unplugged. We're gonna skip this here. I did unplug the USB cord as well. It's not necessary for the next step. So what I'm going to do is, right now as it stands, I'm not signed into any Google account. I don't have anything set up. I wanted this to be as stock as possible, but I need a file manager, a way to actually run the APK file that we put on here. And what I have learned is that the Quick Office application that is pre-installed in the stock ROM, at least in the Cincinnati Bell stock ROM, has a quasi file manager. And so I'm going to use this to my advantage. Now, when I go to turn this on, it's actually going to stop me and tell me that I don't have access to do this. So what we need to do here is go into the settings, and some of you may already be familiar with this. In the settings, under application, there's unknown sources. Unknown sources has to be checked off in order to run this file. So we're going to go back and go back to our Quick Office here. And there's our APK file, and I'm going to tap that. Do you want to install this application? I certainly do. And so now this is installing the base system of the system recovery. And I'm going to go ahead and hit done. Now, I have been told that it's wise after you install this to reboot the phone. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay, it looks like we're back up and running now, so time for the next step. The next thing we need to do is go into the drawer here, and you should notice, once everything populates, that you now have a system recovery icon. So we're going to tap that. And this is what we're looking for. So we're going to do install recovery system. And it will ask for super user access. Be sure to hit allow, and then be patient. Install success. So what this has done is this has actually put all of the essential files needed for the recovery, the open recovery, onto the SD card. But now we're going to go in, and what we're going to do is we're going to replug this back into the computer, and we're going to copy over top of some of these files with a new version of the open recovery. And let's go do that now. So I'm going to plug the phone back in and using memory card access, drop some new files onto the SD card. So now that I have the phone plugged back into the USB cord, I'll be able to take a look at what's on the SD card. So in here we have the Open Recovery folder and an Open Recovery zip file, both of which have shown up because we did the install on the phone of the APK. What we're going to do is we're going to drop some new files into this. So let's take a look at our Cyanogen 6.3 folder, and this Open Recovery XT720-01 file, I've downloaded that and unzipped it, and that's what's in this directory here. So I'm going to open that up, and there is two items in here. One is an Open Recovery folder, and the other one is the Open Recovery zip. So we're going to take these two files, and we're going to copy them and then paste them into the root of our SD card. And it will ask me, do I want to merge and whatnot, and I will say yes. This is Windows 7, so it gives the option to merge. It may say that it wants to replace items if you are not on Windows 7. And we will allow it to replace as well. And we will say yes to all there. And yes to all here. Some may ask why I didn't just delete the two that are there. Because. Okay, so now I have those in there. Now we have these other files that we need to put on the phone as well. So what we'll do is we'll go into our new Open Recovery folder on the SD card. And in here is a folder called Updates. Now in here in the Updates, this is where we are going to put our other files. So the GApps and the update CM, this is the big guy here. We're going to copy those two files and we're going to place those into the updates folder on the SD card. Now that's all we need to do then on our computer. So from here, we'll go back to the phone and we will get flashing. I unplugged the USB cord from the phone because at this point we are done with the phone talking to the computer. The next thing we need to do is actually boot into the Open Recovery. So I'm going to go into the System Recovery here, and we're going to do a recovery boot. And this should boot us into the Open Recovery, the new Open Recovery version. And here we have it. You know that you're in the new version of it because you have Super Mario Android as your background. I believe that the standard version is just black or has a very basic background. What we're going to do here first is we are going to go in, and I am very, very meticulous about this. I like to do full wipes of everything each time we do something. So I'm going to wipe the Dalvik cache, and I'm going to wipe the data and do a factory reset. and I'm going to wipe the cache partition. And I'm doing this all just out of a level of paranoia, I guess. So from here, we're going to go to apply update. Now this is the big one. We have the update that we put on the phone. This is the 6.3. You'll notice that it is an RC3. The RC3 being the latest version, release candidate 3. If a different release candidate comes out, a RC4, then at that point you could do the same process to update that as well. So we're going to install that first. So I've chosen the update CM 6.3.0 RC3 signed zip file, and I'm using my volume buttons to move up and down. So volume up moves up and volume down moves down, and I am using the camera shutter button as my enter. So I'm going to press that now. And it wants me to confirm, which I will. Notice the lights on the right-hand side of the phone are flashing. There is also a status bar across the bottom indicating that it's actually working. Normally, I would speed this up for the sake of time, but recently YouTube has allowed me longer than 15-minute videos, and this process does not take too terribly long. Like I said, not terribly long. Now I'm going to go up and choose the GApps file, and I will do the same thing. I will push my camera shutter and confirm yes, and that will install. This is installing essential pieces like the Google sign-in and the ability for Market and the ability for Gmail and items like that. So that seems to be done as well. So now we'll go back, and one more time, just like before, I will wipe everything. I believe that this is a step that a lot of people skip, and as a result, I believe that they have problems with boot looping and things not going according to plan. So from here, I'm going to choose to reboot the system, and we'll see what we get. Be aware that I am not speeding this up at all, and it's very normal to have a slight delay in the boot, especially when it's the first time loading a new ROM. Aha! The very familiar Cyanogenmod boot up animation. Now keep in mind that this is version 6.3. There is a version 7, a Cyanogenmod 7, available for this phone. I may or may not do a tutorial for that build. I was not terribly impressed with that build. I believed it to be slightly unstable. I had several occasions where it rebooted randomly on me. However, I have been using the Cyanogenmod 6.3 build for over a month now with very, very minimal problems. There have been a few times where it got slow. I chose to load an alternate launcher. I'm using the Zeem launcher. It seems to be less memory intensive and very friendly on the Cyanogenmod 6.3 build. I also chose not to use any type of swap or cache. My SD card does not have an ext partition on it at all. This is because I find that it is the most stable and the fastest without it. So it looks like we are booted up, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to skip a few of these items here because, quite frankly, I'm not terribly concerned with getting my Google account logged in just yet. All right, so let's take a look in our settings. Notice that it now says 2.2.1, and that's very good. And everything else seems to be pretty much on par. One thing that you'll notice that is horribly inconvenient is that I don't have any 3G. As a matter of fact, I don't have any type of wireless internet at all right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my settings and wireless and networks, and then into mobile networks. Now everything's enabled, but I don't have anything, and the reason for that is that I don't have an APN. So I'm going to go in to APNs and go into menu here and do a new APN. And I'm just going to call it CBW, short for Cincinnati Bell Wireless, and hit OK. And then go into the APN. And all I'm doing here is typing in the address for my APN, and everything else is pretty much standard. I'm going to hit save, and I'm going to choose it. Oh, look. And just like that, I have access to the internet. Now, that's how easy it is for me. I don't know if that's going to be the same process for you, but essentially once you load this, if you don't immediately get any type of 3G, GSM, GPRS, whatever it is you're looking for, internet access, it's because you don't have an APN. So once you get that, then you should be able to get full internet access, and I'll just prove that here. There we go. So it works. In terms of overclocking, I don't believe that any real overclocking is necessary on this. If you choose to, then go ahead. That's up to you. You'll also notice that the reboot option is here. And if you do choose reboot, it gives you the option for reboot into recovery or bootloader, and those are pieces that have been added in. You can also go in and play around with the Cyanogenmod settings, and you can go in and play with the interface and do some other items. All of that is basically up to you. So from here, it's really personal preference in terms of customization and whatnot. Like I said, it's very stable. The one thing that I did find is that the camera isn't horribly stable at first. However, after I rebooted the phone several times, the camera seemed to stabilize. So that's something to play with. Some third-party camera apps have become some of my favorites, LG Camera and whatnot. There's a few of them out there. So hopefully this puts you in a good place. I know I've been away from the community for a while, and I felt like I owed all of you at least this. So hopefully down the road I will find a stable version of the Cyanogenmod 7, and I will do a tutorial on that. But for now, this has been Reverend Kyle, your Minister of Mobile Devices, and I have just demonstrated for you how to install the Cyanogenmod 6.3 on your Motorola Milestone XT720.